Click, clack, clickety clack, click, clack, clickety clack. Hey everybody, welcome to Houston. Houston, we have a problem. I can say my name in my own show. It's Wednesday. It's after market hours, and everything kind of went meh for most of the day. That's okay, because I just feel like everything's coiling up. The Gherkin got part 1 of his 2-part series on his futures theory, and it's up on Reddit. I should have probably... It's on my Twitter. I retweeted it on my Twitter. I forgot to put it in the description of the show here. Maybe I'll remember to do that before... after I'm all done with this. Yeah, so... What's happening in the world? Judging from the questions so far, not much happening today. Rolling through, and people remind me intro. There you go, intro, click. Ha! Only one intro for you. Shiny shirt week, day 10 here for you. It's so shiny. Look how shiny that is. It's like a oil slick of watercolors or something. That doesn't make any sense. All right, Everton Lacerda, Houston. First question of the day. Are you excited? I think I may be excited in knowing you can become a millionaire in a couple of days. Well, I mean, could become a millionaire is subjective. In a couple of days, I guess. I mean, it'd be nice to have it happen in a couple of days, but I think we may have to go through a couple of cycles first before we get there. But yeah. Lost Waves asks, what's your favorite song and why is it Thunder Horse? Thunder Horse is a good song. It is. If you are not a Death Clock fan, listen to some Thunder Horse. I also like Lost Vikings a lot, and I Will Kill You. I don't, yeah, those are good. Briefcase Full of Guts is really good. I mean, there really isn't a bad Death Clock song, to be honest. They're all good. I think I told the story about, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, whenever it was, when, we still watched things on DVD. I was home from college and popping DVDs in, and my friend Jessie and I were showing her Metalocalypse, and for weeks, watch a couple episodes a night for weeks. And my mom would sit on the couch and read her book. And about, I don't know, 2 weeks into watching Metalocalypse, my mom put down her book and goes, "What have you two been watching? The music is so good." And that's how my 70-plus-year-old mother is a metalhead. That's how good it is. Cameron Mirza, happy birthday. Crazy weather in British Columbia. Wish everyone there's safe. Yeah, British Columbia got the brunt of this atmospheric river. The Pineapple Express was coming through. We are getting another one, I think, tomorrow or tonight. They should be hammering. I'm fairly lucky where I am because I'm on a small little island and everything just kind of runs off the island into the ocean. And so we don't get the flooding that people will get where there's valleys and rivers and stuff. But man, Merritt, BC is just hammered. Go north along the coast of the Puget Sound, Skagit Valley, Whatcom County. They got, 6 inches of rain in a day. And the Northwest, weather here mists. It just kind of spits and mists for 5 months at a time. It doesn't give us tropical downpours where inches of rain happen. And the land is like, whoa, we're already soggy. Don't give us any more. But yes, I hope the folks in BC are doing all right. I'm sure that Grandpa Barney is probably still out trying to restore power for people. So might see him in a couple of days after he's gotten some sleep. Travis Wright got a super chat in here. Let's see here. Travis Wright says, if you had the power, how would you redesign the education system in North America or even the world? Please leave the intro on for Schadenfreude. Schadenfreude, I guess it is. Maybe not. Maybe you'll get another one. Maybe you won't. How would I redesign the education system? First and foremost, teacher pay has to increase substantially. Teachers and college professors need to make a lot more money than they're making now so that we can retain them and attract the best of the best to come teach. We also need to have math requirements for teachers. A lot of people go into teaching and get education degrees because the math requirements are really lackadaisical and non-existent. And then suddenly they find themselves teaching like 8th grade algebra, and they avoided math their entire life. And those students really, really, really lose out on a lot of their math education in a lot of schools. I would also get rid of standardized testing. Standardized testing is awful and useless, and just get rid of it. I would bring back a lot more arts. I would bring back shop classes. I would bring back auto mechanic classes, welding, wood shop, engineering and drafting. I mean, a lot of schools have cut band and ceramics and crafts and all sorts of things. Like school, 90% of school is socialization of students. That's so. We need to socialize people and have them be useful for society and not like antisocial. That other 10% is what you learn, and these kids need to learn a wide variety of things. When my older siblings were in school, they got to do metal shop and work on cars and do all this stuff. By the time I got to high school, they had cut all these programs. And, you know, even if I wasn't going to go into a career working on cars, I still wanted the opportunity to learn from somebody who is an expert on how to do this stuff. You know, hobbies are important, and you know, the more things you're exposed to, the more it tickles your brain. And yeah, I would just fund the shit out of schools and give kids opportunities to do all sorts of cool things. I would love to see, you know, I think the military budget is largely wasteful. I would love to see, you know, an extra $500 billion a year dropped onto education in America. And see what treating our schools like palaces would actually do for us. Also, I would pretty much end homework. Homework is not helpful to anybody. It's really important for students to be able to decompress and not have to like continue another, you know, 2 to 6 hours of work after school to get things done. If you can't dump what's in people's, like, dump information in people's brains in the time you have, and you have to force them to go out and like waste the rest of their day doing busy work for you. Like, you know, maybe a paper a quarter, something like that. Maybe a couple of papers. Math problems optional. I don't know. Kids need to be kids, and I think it's really important that they get that chance. And they should be able to explore and learn things on their own outside of the structures of school. Those are the big things I would do, probably, if I had the power to like go bing, change stuff. Yeah, smart populations are important, and I think Finland has a great blueprint on that. I think all the Finns are probably asleep by now. But if there's any Finnish people awake in the chat, you can confirm how kick-ass your schools are. And you guys designed one hell of a system. I would go Finnish model all the way. Okay. Andrew Stewart, Iron Maiden or Judas Priest? Iron Maiden, Judas Priest. My leather. I love my leather metal, but and Judas Priest puts on a hell of a show for being their third singer by now. The last time I was supposed to see Iron Maiden was a few years ago, and I got really sick. Like the day that they came to town, so I had to give my tickets away to somebody else, and they had a great time. But man, they kick ass. Jay Druckus. I believe Sears had its November 10th hearing. Third hearing, not sure when, if, another. Seems like they're having about one a month. And the hearings are pretty much how much debt have you paid off? What do you have left to pay? And that's what the hearings are until there's some sort of, I don't know, like, hey, you paid it off. Now it's time to do something with the shareholders. And that's what we're waiting for. And a Rollingbay, Houston, who do you want to play you in the movie version of MOASS? And the boss says, Houston should play Houston. Well, I mean, if you want to go for facial structure accuracy and height and everything else, you're gonna have to do Dylan Francis, the techno artist. Is he techno? Electronic artist? It's eerie. Someone sent me a little video he and some friends had made, and when I watched it, my thought was, I have no memory of making this video. I don't remember recording this at all, because I was looking at myself and it was eerie. And I'm sure if Dylan Francis pops into here, he'll look at me and be like, holy shit. It's weird. It's very weird. He has tattoos all over his arms, and I have no tattoos. So that's how you tell the good twin from the evil twin. Dr. Stonk, do you have any guilty pleasures? Some garbage reality TV, perhaps? I don't really watch reality TV. What would be my good guilty pleasure, Monkey? Michael Jackson's song "What About Us" is a huge guilty pleasure. It's from his history album, I think. What else is a guilty pleasure of mine? I ate a lot of chocolate. Monkey, what do we do? I mean, I really enjoy kind of buddy cop action TV shows. You know, your Magnum PIs, your Nash Bridges, your Miami Vice, Burn Notice. I like cool cars and blowing stuff up. That's probably my guiltiest pleasure. And I could watch those things. The A-Team, I like those action TV shows. And I don't care how corny they get. I just love them so much. I love how serious they take themselves sometimes. And it's just a thing of beauty for me. I dig it. Lloyd Brown, Houston, longtime listener, first time super chatter. How long before you reinvest in that crop market you guys have over there, Post-moass? Candace, probably instantly. I'll probably take my winnings and just immediately turn them into blue chips and gold and maybe some crypto, dividend stocks. Just, you know, I do not want the cash in my account at all. Zero cash in my account. I want to just put it in things that you know are assigned to me or in the brokerage, and then just take a year to, I don't know, wander, ponder, read, decompress. That'd be nice. Monkey Butt would love it. Go on lots of big hikes, buddy. Lots of big hikes. Meow meow. What will happen to the world if Yellowstone blows? Worse than dino extinction? No, it won't be worse than dino extinction, but it'll be pretty gnarly. I'd say 5% of dino extinction would be Yellowstone blows. We've talked about this in the past. The Yellowstone volcano will kick out about 1,000 to 2,000 times the amount of ash that Mount St. Helens did on May 18th, 1980. And there's a number of supervolcanoes around the world that have this power. Long Valley in California, Toba in Indonesia. These volcanoes have such huge magma chambers, and they're in such incredible pressures, and there's so much steam pressure built up inside of them that when they erupt, you know, you're talking a caldera the size of Rhode Island just blowing, maybe even bigger than that. Probably over 1,000 square miles of explosion. And the ash cloud from that it would cover the entire northern hemisphere for 2 to 5 years, probably, just blocking out the sun. And when I say blocking out the sun, I mean like it's noon and it's black outside. There will be no sunlight for years on end. And the mini ice age that would result from that would just kill billions of people. So if if Yellowstone erupts, hop on a plane, go to the southern hemisphere, and live out your days in Rio or something. You do not want to be in the northern hemisphere. If you are in the far northern hemisphere, you're really screwed. It'll just be perpetual winter for a long time. No farming. Feet and feet of snow. no sunlight, just miserable. There are in the geologic record there are ice ages started via supervolcanic eruptions, and they think a supervolcano about 70,000 years ago is sort of what set humans on the path of taking over among all the other sapiens, and that was probably the trigger. Is that we managed to adapt to our environment better than other folks. Monty, Loopring CEO moves 61.3 million Loopring coins, triggering GameStop NFT speculation. Thoughts? Yes, folks were talking about this a lot yesterday. It really makes you wonder, what would they be using those Loopring coins for? Would they be using them for gas fees? Would they be using them as a dividend? I have no idea how those Loopring coins would get used, because I think it's even if you're transferring Loopring on things, I think the gas fees still have to be paid in Ethereum, don't they? Or is that the part of the Loopring network that makes the gas fees so cheap that I don't know? I have to look into that more. But it is really close to that time. If GameStop wants to launch their market, whatever capacity their market's going to be, it has to be done in the next 5.5 weeks, right? Next 6 weeks, 5.5 weeks, because they said quarter four, and quarter four has only got till December 31st, 11:59 p.m. So whatever magic they're doing, it's coming. It's coming soon. Highway Frog says Seth Rogen should play me in the movie. I mean, I'll take Seth as long as I get to meet him and hang out with him. And the payment will be he has to give me one of those crazy Technicolor vases he makes. Death Valley 69. Houston, I heard YouTube takes 30% cut from super chats. Ever consider some other monetization platform, example CashApp, etc.? Apparently they do take 30%. I do have a CashApp listed in the description if people want to send tips that way. You're also welcome to join the Patreon. The Patreon, I'm not super active on. It's sort of like a we support Houston making shows as often as possible fund. And I greatly appreciate it. I hope to get a little more active with it. I'm not teaching next quarter, so I should have more time to make things more Patreon centric. And if you're on the Patreon and the gas fees ever get cheap, you get 10,000 Problemo coins when I can actually afford to send those to everyone. So if Problemo can ever take advantage of that layer 2 network and I can transfer them for pennies rather than 20 to 50 bucks or whatever it's going to cost to transfer those Problemo coins, then woohoo, you guys all get Problemo coins. I also want to figure out how to stake Problemo coins on one of the swaps once I get everybody their things. See if we can get them trading. See if we can get these coins I made as a complete F you to the crypto market going and see what happens. Because why not? There's 100 million Problemo coins out there. I want you guys to have as much of them as possible. Yeah. Dr. Stonks says Michael Fassbender. Oh, man. I have some lady friends that would just die if they found Michael Fassbender played me in a movie. Stonk Mom, anyone know if Sears bankruptcy has to be finalized by 12/31? Haven't been able to find anything new. I think the Sears bankruptcy gets finalized when they have when they can show the court they have a plan to pay off the remaining debt they have. Because every month when they do one of these hearings, they show we paid off this much more. I think they only have they have less than 80 million left in debt to pay off, and they've got 30-something stores left, and they've got several billion in assets still. So we'll see where it goes. National Farm Joke Day. I have no idea what that means. Is that farmer's daughter jokes? Throw your best farmer's daughter joke in the chat. Oh, thank you. Get Real put the link for Gherk's DD in there. He's hoping to have the other one out by tonight. He hasn't slept in a day or so forgive him if he doesn't have it up by this evening. He's been writing and writing and writing and writing. And so, yeah, so read it. It's pretty much what he described on my show, but with visuals that he was able to think out and put together. And he does a really great job. I highly recommend it. Get in there. The Redditors did take it down for like 8 hours, and then they got a lot of complaints, and they put it back up. And now it's like 14,000 likes or whatever upvotes. So it's cruising. Gherk did a really good job explaining piece by piece all the way through his theory there. Andrew Stewart. What will happen to Trump and company from 1/6? Does anyone have the political willpower to pursue anything, one-off or new norm? Yeah, it's the news that's been coming out recently, and this is stuff that really makes me mad, is that there are people that sit on information for, 10, 11 months that's really pertinent to what was going on 1/6. And now they're revealing it in their books. They didn't write them in the articles at the time. They didn't talk about it. They're saving it so they can sell millions of copies of their books. And that really pisses me off. So apparently it took 6 recordings to finally get Trump to say like, hey, stop invading the Capitol, because he didn't want to say it. And also those talks were, he was like, yeah, go kill my vice president. Do it. Get rid of him. He didn't do what I wanted. He's unloyal. And that stuff, I think needs to be taken seriously. Whether anyone's going to have the political willpower to do anything about it, I think it's good that Bannon's being held in contempt. And I'm sure that will set the precedent to hold others in contempt for not being willing to testify. But, yeah, there's a particular asshole in my community who was at the 1/6 event, and I know has been getting interviewed by the FBI, and I think might get charged. So we'll see. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm very curious to see how this all folds out, how this all rolls out and gets unveiled. Yeah, it's I'm sure there's a lot of it we're not going to hear about. A lot of planning and stuff that is going to be redacted, hearings behind closed doors. I'd like to see them open hearings, but we'll see. We will see. P. Longstock is related to Pippi Longstockings. My cousin in the Pippi Longstockings movies from the 70s, my cousin was Pippi Longstocking's stunt double. There's a piece of trivia for you. All right. P. Longstock. We will have MOASS this year or next year. Thoughts? I'm liking Gherkin's theory in that it's going to take these 3 expiration cycles of the monthlies for November, December, January to really push the price crazy high. There's also talk about another stimulus check being offered. I doubt that's going to happen, but if that were to happen, can you imagine, all of us apes getting another like $1,000 in our pocket to buy 5 more shares of GameStop or whatever? That would have incredible pressure on the market in this case. So I think it's pretty awesome. Joey Sullivan, AMC NFT dividend and or GME share recall equals MOASS. GME share recall, I think, could trigger it. AMC NFT dividend, I'm still skeptical about that being allowed. Calling it a dividend specifically makes it illegal. Like they are not allowed to issue a dividend until they clear about $5 billion in debt. Adam Aaron clarified this. I tweeted him about it, I don't know, June, May, somewhere around there, about offering different kinds of non-cash dividends. And he said, we absolutely cannot until we clear debt. So, offering anything whatsoever that could be construed as a dividend, I think they'd be banned from doing it. If they tried, they probably will get sued and lose. So I don't think it's possible. I think Mark Cohodes is dreaming when he says that they can do this token and lock in things. It's pretty much an also ran idea that GameStop, we've been speculating GameStop would do something similar. And there's others that have done similar things. Black Dragon did it. What was the other company? CPOH, whatever it is. Another one that did it. And they saw some pop in their stock, and I held on to the Black Dragon too long. It went boink. I should have sold. But yeah, I don't see the AMC NFT thing happening. Not until they clear a whole bunch of debt. So we might be dreaming on that. Harry Borchers, put a sticky note in corner of monitor with intro written on it, maybe easy solution. That'd be great if I had sticky notes. And here's the thing, is that I need a Post-it note to remind me to go buy Post-it notes. And without that Post-it note to remind me to buy Post-it notes, when I go to the store, I don't buy any Post-it notes. And it's just this catch-22, a rubber cycle of failure that I live with every single day. You smelt it, dealt it. I think Salvador Dali threw up on you. Maybe. I would be honored if Salvador Dali had thrown up on me. I could sell this for so much money. Next week, 3-hour intro only. David F., what's a real-life treasure hunt that's always interested you? I wrote about it years ago. Engel's Gold, which is one that happened near us in the Seattle area. Let's see if I can get my old article up. Engel's Gold. Legend of Engel's Gold. Here we go. When did I write this? Oh, it's 2012, so it's like 9 years old now. But I wrote about Engel's Gold. Here, I'll pop the... Come on, get in there. Paste that stuff. There we go. Sent it. So it's in the chat. It's a... Oh, Chrome. Got to turn off the Google Earth. Turn off Chrome. And I got to assign the... there we go. So this is an article I wrote years ago about Engel's Gold. It's a short little one. Basically, Captain Engels got lost from his cavalry unit, was wandering around the Cascades and trying to figure out where he was. And like an idiot, he rather than like following a river downstream to get back to civilization, he's like, I'm going to climb the highest peak around, take a look-see to figure out where I am. So he climbed up a pass, probably near Stewart Peak or somewhere in Blewett Pass, and discovered a gigantic gold vein that ran from the peak down into one of these alpine lakes. And he's like, oh my God, so much gold. So he drew a quick map of all the mountains around him and went back to Portland where his brother was, and they mounted an expedition with a bunch of people. And they were following a bunch of folks heading up to the Fraser gold rush in Canada. And then when they got to Wenatchee, they like split and like, see you guys, we're going to these mountains. And their team went to go up the Wenatchee River and get into Blewett Pass. And while they were hiking up a waterfall, someone moved a branch out of the way, and then it flew backwards and hit somebody who was carrying a gun, and ended up shooting Captain Engels in the belly, and he died without ever explaining like exactly where they were going. So according to this, no one's ever found Engels Gold. But that region, Blewett Pass and Liberty, had a huge gold rush, late 1800s through the 1940s, early 1940s, before World War II started. And it may be possible somebody just staked a claim and took all the gold. But, yeah, so, but that may have happened with a lot of lost gold mines, was that somebody else just came in and mined it, and that's why no one could find it. So, but that's a local one. There's also... a ship that sunk near Port Townsend, Washington. If we bring the Google Earth back. And there's been lots of mapping that's happened in this area. Got to get out of Italy here. That's where we left off yesterday. Let's fly around the world. Oh, let's make ourselves go north so that my brain can rectify things. Okay, so fly across the planet. We're going to go to Port Townsend, Washington. There was a ship that was bringing gold back from the Klondike that sunk somewhere out here. So get back north again. So you can see Seattle, Olympic Peninsula. So somewhere Admiralty Inlet is this thing here. And somewhere in here, there's a ship that sunk, and no one's found it yet, that has, at the time, in late 1800s, early 1900s, was about $3 million in gold. So multiply that sucker by 50, right? Because that's how much gold prices have gone up. So looking at $150 million in gold is sunk somewhere in here, a ship that went down. That would be an awesome one to find. But no one's found it yet. But I know that everything's been mapped through here by sonar and by submarines, because there's huge submarine bases. There's Bangor, it's like where all the nuclear cruise missile warheads are kept. This is a submarine base, and I know they've mapped everything through here. They've mapped so much weird stuff that there's where is it? It's somewhere up here in the Gulf Islands. There's a spot where there was a rock outcrop, and the Americans got permission from the Canadian government to blow up the rock outcrop so that they could put submarines through here, through these fjords. But yeah, that's another cool one I would love to find. I would also love to just blindly metal detect regions by old ghost towns to see what kind of crazy treasures I can find. Just spend all day doing that. There was that find a couple weeks ago where the dude found a whole bunch of gold dust and gold coins and derringers and guns and stuff that some bandit had hidden. And that shit's just rad. I would love to be part of that. That would make me so happy to find something like that. Stonk Mom, Houston, I'm going to make you a customized epoxy cup with your intro logo. No more mason jars. No more. It's my trademark. I'll take it. I'll take a Houston Whale problem mug all day long. Has to be big, because this is 2 hours of water for a show. So it has to be at least, I don't know, how many ounces is this thing, does it say? No, it does not. Decent size. I don't know what that is. 25 ounces, 30 ounces, somewhere on there. Primus sucks. What? Who said that? I mean, of course, the thing just reset, and I saw Primus sucks, and that's not accurate at all. Super chat notification still super loud. God damn it. Okay. Alert box. Go to super chats. Click on media. You son of a bitch. Why are you doing that, man? All right. Way down there. Done. Save. Okay. Hopefully that's that. Sorry, Garfield Connolly. And Brian Romero. Hey, so MOASS next year or 2023? I'm hoping MOASS is much, much sooner than that. I wonder if... Oh, one sec. Where is... Maybe the alert box didn't change on when I have... Oh, yeah. That's what's happening. Is that I changed it when Big Houston was up. Sorry. I totally got distracted, Brian Romero. I'll answer in a second. Done. Okay. I can click back. So, this is the problem, is that everything reset, and this son of a bitch. Okay, subscriptions. I need to go make all this media just... Oh, the volume's down that one. That's good. What other ones? Follows, are you down? Follows is down. All right. Subscribers, are you down? Well, subscribers is not down, so that won't scream everybody. Turn you down. Done. Okay. All right. Hopefully that'll do it. If it still screams again, scream at me too, because I can't hear it. MOASS next year, 2023. I don't think the economy has the steam to keep from crashing before 2023. I think there's so much on the precipice, and over the next 6 months, China's just going to get worse. The Chinese real estate market is up in flames right now, and it is a huge portion of their economy, absolutely gigantic. There's so much real estate speculation that's been happening over the past 15 years that I don't think China can avoid a total collapse of their economy as a result of this. And it's going to bleed out into every other economy in the world because, there's what, $4 trillion in debt related to real estate in China. There's another $8 trillion in debt related to local municipalities that they're not going to be able to pay. And so we're looking at, $12 trillion in default going to be happening probably over the next year. That is so astronomically large that it's going to bring everyone down. Those bonds were used as collateral for all sorts of margin, for all sorts of other plays in the market, that it's just going to cascade. So I don't think it can last till 2023. I just don't see it. So no, I think it's got to happen sooner than that. I gotta go back up to that Primus sucks question so I can shake my fist. Fear the Jinn. Shaking my fist at you, fear the Jinn. Primus rules. Les Claypool is awesome. And if this pandemic can end, a friend of mine has a vineyard down in California, and they sell grapes to Les Claypool's winery, and they get invited in non-pandemic years to a big giant party that Les Claypool hosts, and they said, I can go sometime. So I get to go hang out with Les Claypool because Primus rules. Yeah, Harry Borchers, Primus does not suck. All right. Brandon Sparks, can you please provide a synopsis on GN crypto? I know nothing about GN crypto, so that's going to take me a while to learn about it. GN crypto. GN crypto. All right. Do you guys see that the Staples Center is getting renamed to the Crypto.com Arena in Los Angeles? There's some good jokes. They're calling it the Incel Dome. What was the other one? Oh, crap. Keely Hughes had a really good joke about it. The Blunder Dome. Yeah. Crypto.com Arena. I was like when Brazers tried to get the naming rights to, was it Tropicana Field or something in St. Petersburg? I mean, it's been funny. Okay, I think I missed a couple super chats while I was yakking about other things. All right, that's P. Longstock. Julie Sullivan. Okay, did that one. Dr. Stonk. Are you still hoping for metamaterial? My position is bloodied and cleaved, to be honest. My January and March 22 options look like children forgot at school. Yeah. Remember, before 11:59 p.m. on December 31st, Metamaterials has to either give a cash dividend for all those Torchlight preferred shares or convert those shares into a stock into a new oil company. So one of those two things has to happen. I went out and I picked up another 1,000 of those Torchlight preferred shares because I figured, well, if it's a cash dividend, it's going to be like $10 to $30 a share. So I will take that gamble. And if it becomes an oil company, well, right now oil is screaming. So it's got to give you something that I can convert and sell probably for more than I paid for these things at $1.50 or whatever I paid for them. So either way, I'm hoping to win on that. If it's possible, either way it goes, it's going to result in a lot of buying action by short hedge funds who have to clear the books. So I'm hoping that triggers at least a little bit of a squeeze, and we can all, be happy on that. So I'm still holding out for Metamaterials. It's just time. We just sit and wait and sit and wait and sit and wait for when they finally announce what those preferred shares are going to be. Chakuseki, Super Stonk this week, reacting to options DD reminded me of a massive Spider-Man meme with everyone calling each other shill. Yeah. Everyone's a shill now. Everyone's a shill. Yeah, that's the life we lead right now. J Dog, it's true. Put some glasses on Dylan Francis, and you we are the same person. He's got I've got male pattern baldness. He's got a little bit of a widow's peak, and that's the difference entirely between the two of us. We are like the same height, same weight, same build, same face, same beard, same eyeballs, same nose. We are the same person, and I'm really wondering if my dad was a philanderer in 1987 or 1986 and produced a Dylan Francis, and I am not aware of it because we are very similar. I have another doppelganger somewhere who's a karate instructor named Scott, and there was a period of time where random children would run up to me, give me a giant hug, and be like, "Oh my God, Scott, hello!" And I'm like, "Who is this child?" So at least people know that I'm a karate expert named Scott. So those are my doppelgangers. I guess 2 doppelgangers. The 3 of us should form a band. I've always had thought about doppelgangers, and I wonder if I can get like National Science Foundation money to do research on this. But there's people all over the world that are completely unrelated to each other who look a lot like each other, and I want to do DNA tests and comparisons. Like if you took my DNA and Dylan Francis's DNA, right? We're completely unrelated. His family, I think his family's from like the Czech Republic or something, and my family's from Germany and the UK. But if you took like the DNA and the randomness of the DNA for like the structure of the nose or the lips or the ears or whatever, like how similar would our DNA look as doppelgangers? And I remember once when I was working up on Mauna Kea in Hawaii, there was a scientist from Great Britain. He was kind of this portly, bald guy with glasses. And then there was another visiting scientist from China. And other than the fact that one dude was Chinese and one dude was from England, they were the exact same person. They looked so similar in build, height, shape, bald head, nose, you name it. It was really weird. And I would love to like see the natural similarities in their DNA that made them doppelgangers. Like why are you so similar to each other when you're from 2 entire different parts of the world? I think it'd be a fantastic study. And National Science Foundation, I don't have the energy to write a grant, but if you just want to send me money, I'll figure it out. There we go. JH says Burn Notice is the most underrated show. Burn Notice was a great show. I might have to rewatch it. I love that show. Jay Durkis, apes need to appreciate there wouldn't have been a MOAS if it all happened in January. Imagine back then the most people thought was $1,000. Yeah, I mean even post January when I bought in February, I was like, it'd be sweet to get $1,000 out of this thing, and then slowly, started looking at the absolute just volumes that were trading and the number of people that were invested, and I was like, oh no, this can squeeze a lot higher than $1,000. $1,000 is chump change compared to where it can go. So yeah. Donate super chat to advise super chat dealer. Has a super chat calmed down? I haven't. Has anyone donated since then? Monty. We now have 198 billion left in the U.S. Treasury, and Yellen says we have enough money to make it December 15th. I don't believe that. Thoughts? Well, there is money that comes trickling in. So we do get cash trickling in over that time. It all depends on how much we have to spend. So, we might get, let's say we get 25 billion in a day and we spend 30. That's what causes it to dwindle. Because we still get taxes and fines and everything else from folks over that time. What are you doing, you weird dog? You're licking my sock. Get up here. Come on. Get back up there. So yeah, that's, yeah, I think December 15th might be a bit optimistic, because the last time they had said, oh, we got until October 30th or whatever, then it was obvious we were going to go bankrupt like 2 weeks before that. Yeah, the debt ceiling showdown is gonna be gnarly. 68-ounce cup. Every time I take a sip, my whole head just disappears. I think at that point it's just a pond and there's like goldfish in it and things evolving. Okay. Online entity. Amazon sells Post-it notes. Can buy now. Duh. Why not just order it and have it sent to me? Everyone's like, I'm going to get so many Post-it notes in my P.O. box. Savi, could China just ask us to pay back our debt? No, because the debt is they're timed notes, so it's 10-year notes, 3-year notes, 30-year notes, things like that. So these are contracts written that the payback will be over this set period of time, over these number of years. So they can't just be like, we want all of our debt now, because that's not what the contract says. At the same time, we can ask China to pay their debt, because outside foreign investors hold $8+ trillion in municipal debts that China has created. So it's a tit for tat in that case. Most of all you can do is pretty much write it off and be like, well, that's it. And if China did beg for us to pay it off at once, which I don't think they would, the U.S. government would just print, $1 trillion and just give them $1 trillion of new money, because we own the printer. So there you go. Okay, I'm going to scroll back up. Scroll back up to where we left things off. Oh my goodness, this is still... Onionsdale. Been to 8 of Dylan Francis' shows? Right on. The guy from 21 Jump Street. What was that dude's name? Not Johnny Depp, but the other one. Rico. Greco. Richard Greco. Was that his name? No, he didn't specify which was the evil twin. If you ever see me shave a goatee, you'll know. Okay. Joe Curtis, did you initially think MOASS would take this long? No. I thought after the huge jumps we saw at the end of February and in March that it was going to happen much sooner than this. I didn't know I didn't know about equity swaps and things were taking place and the weird financial shenanigans that they were doing to draw this out as long as possible. It wasn't probably until like May. I was like, oh, okay. They have a lot more tools in their toolbox than we first thought. But every single trick they do still puts a bunch of liability on them, and that liability just digs the hole deeper. Like they're just those fools. They need to be digging up, not down. Yeah. Yowie, I mentioned in your last stream I was going to the Canary Islands. If the islands break apart and I am at the epicenter of mega tsunami, no, I'm okay with that, Houston. Yeah, I mean, what a way to go, right? Like, you really just went out in one of the most epic ways a human being will ever have the chance to die. 1,000-foot tsunami just smashing into an active volcano. Just, like, I will write a heavy metal song dedicated just to you about how fucking brutal that is. And it'll be called the what would you call it, the Yowie Kablowie? Yowie Kablooey? Yowie Kablooey? Capsaicin Girl. Hey Houston, if you could watch any geological event in total safety, what would it be? Ooh. Oh man. Ooh, there's so many cool ones. I would love to somehow float on a lava lake. Like if I could have some sort of insulated ship and just float on lava That'd be so rad. I know I'd probably choke to death on the hydrogen sulfide, but again, you know, we're total safety. I would love to like be on a lava lake. That would just be really cool. Outside of that catastrophic event, I would like to see. There's video footage somewhere of, I think it's a 64 earthquake in Seattle. Someone was filming like a car commercial or something. I'll have to find that video. And the S waves are coming through, and the road that they're filming on is doing this, and like they're looking over the city, and then all of a sudden the city's over them, and then they're looking over the city, and the city's over them. I would love to experience something like that. The coolest I've seen, I got to in the 2001 Nisqually quake. I was in the doorway of the bathroom, and my mom was in her doorway because there were no desks near us. And for about a minute, I watched her like rock above me and me go above her. So it's kind of similar to that. And then there was an earthquake in May of 1996, May of 1996. It's like a 5-point something. And where I lived then, we lived in this basement condo, and you know, it's concrete tarmac, the condominium's built on top of it. And I was at my desk typing a paper for this physical science class I was in, and earthquake started, and I dove under the desk and I grabbed the dog, and we're both sitting under the desk, and I watched what looked like mice under the carpet, like going from one end of the room under the carpet out the wall on the other side of the room. It looked like dozens of mice just going under the carpet, and it was the ripples, and they're little ripples. I mean, they were this big, and it just was like a little bonk in the carpet, just going across the room. And both the dog and I had just watched these things, and it was the weirdest. I've never heard of that happening. I never heard geologists talk about it. I never heard about witness. It was so weird to see what looked like dozens and dozens of little mice for about, I don't know, 15 seconds, work their way into the carpet of these ripples in the concrete, and then their way out. It was very strange. I would love to actually re-see that so my brain could be like, yes, you did witness that before, and you're not just making it up. Yeah. That, and maybe when the Bosphorus cracked and the Black Sea filled, that would have been a pretty awesome thing to see. Was that 7,000 years ago when that happened? I got my natural gas generator and 5 tons of ramen. Someone's going to die of sodium overdosing. All right. Are you going surfing on the Canaries? Awesome. This would be a good place to go surfing. All right. Matt's nasal hair says you should look into Greatland Gold's Havarian discovery in Australia near Telfer. It could be one of the biggest finds recent years. Nice shirt. Oh, let's bring up where Telfer is. Telfer, Australia. It's in Western Australia. All right. Take me there. There's a lot of good gold out in Western Australia. So Telfer's out here in the middle of nowhere. All right. Well, looks like we have a gold mine already right here. Is this a cyanide bath, perhaps? Yeah. Telfer mine. Looks like a little mine town. Yep, little mining town. Probably hot as hell out here. Huh. This is ancient rock, man. This is some really, really old rock. There's another mine here. Looks like got a dry lake. Probably a good spot to go look for meteorites. Looks like a seasonal river. All this stuff here was 30,000 foot tall mountains like 3.5 billion years ago. And a lot of uplift happened in that time. But cool. All right, I'm going to look that one up and go deeper. I want to drive through the outback so bad. One of you Aussies that are on here, I'm gonna come visit you one of these days, and we're outbacking. Meow meow. Our hedge funds gone after MOASS. A lot of them will be. I'm sure there'll probably be 50 or 100 of them that will cease to exist as a result of MOASS. But remember, not all of them are short hedge funds. Some of them are doing their investments in other ways. Some of them are sin funds. So they invest only in things like guns, drugs, pornography, cigarettes, alcohol. Others are funds that want to invest solely in green technologies. So they're investing in solar panels and renewable energies and windmills. So not all hedge funds are deep into these meme stocks, but a lot of them are. And I wouldn't doubt if we see 100 of them go poof as a result. And a whole bunch of really, really rich people all of a sudden are very, very poor because all their money vanished. And they're, as I said, I would love to see them misspelling my name at Starbucks. That would make me so happy. Put Problemo coin on Loopring. I did. Problemo coin is in Loopring, but they won't let me put it on layer 2 because no one has it yet. And it's too expensive for me to get to anybody. Problemo coins are a problem. That's what I'm saying right now. If I'd made it, if I'd programmed it as an Inu coin, which I didn't even know existed back then, if I made it a Problemo Inu coin, I could have put it on Uniswap much more easily, but it still would have cost me about $15,000 in staking to put it on, in ETH to put it on Uniswap. So that's not going to happen until post-moass. Dr. Stunk does the Problemo coin reward users who receive 404 errors. Every time you get a 404 error, you get a Problemo coin. That's how we mine them. Broken websites. Aaron Aron Tostenson. Am I saying that right? Houston, are you familiar with permaculture and food forest? If so, how big of a role do you see them playing in the future of agriculture and gardening that tries to combat climate change? I am familiar with them. It's much more of like an ancient system. So if we go, we got to go to Africa, I believe. The ones I'm most familiar with, there's, let's see here. Got to go, where am I going? So we got Kilimanjaro. Yeah. Oh, it's Mount Kenya. I think that works. So there's these orographic formed jungles around Mount Kenya and around Mount Kilimanjaro, two giant ancient volcanoes. And there's tribes here that have these ancient cultivated forests that are layered through the forest. So you've got ground covers that are edible. You've got shrubbery, like shade-loving shrubbery, and then you've got fruit trees that in the canopy as well. And these folks, for thousands of years, have cultivated the jungle to work specifically to feed everybody, and it's pretty awesome. And native tribes in the Americas did the same thing, but that culture is dying with modernization. That you can go out and you can hunt and gather all day, or you can just go to McDonald's, buy your food that way. The Hawaiians would do their aupua'as. So if we cross the world, we go to Hawaii, use the Big Island. So aupua'as were these really long, skinny plots of land. So if I can, where's my polygon? There it is. So it would be something like a piece of land. Come on, you stupid polygon. What are you doing? Okay, so it'd be a plot of land that would do something like, nope. What in the earth? Come on. Oh, you stinky little shit. How do I? No! Oh, I want to do everything. Stop it. Stop doing your thing. What the hell? Okay, this will work better. All right, just pretend there's a ski track of land that goes from the ocean up to the top of the mountain. And, Mauna Kea here is almost 14,000 feet. So you're going through a whole bunch of climate zones on your way up. So you've got your fishing that would happen here. You'd have along the beach, you got coconuts and other beach-based plants, and you'd have spring water. And then when you get up into the what's the grasslands now, you'd be able to grow sweet potatoes. Get up further into the jungles where it's a little wetter, you can grow taro. And so you'd have different climate levels that could grow different things. And so everyone had plots of land that would radiate outwards from the peaks of these mountains called the Aupua'as. And you can kind of see, oh, for crying out loud, how do I undo all this crap? Google Earth. What is happening? Why are everything... Stop it. Stop. You're killing me here. What the hell? I can't get out of this. There we go. Oh, for crying out loud. So you can see these tracts of land. The land got divided up by Westerners and deeded via these aupua'as. You can kind of see in the shadows of the trees that they're these long, skinny tracts of land. Some of them are skinnier than others, but it's all aupua'as that head all the way up to the tops of the mountains. Even today, people utilize the different climates on the way up. So, you've got here at 6,000 feet, these are a whole bunch of apple orchards that are up on Mauna Kea. And a whole bunch of fruit, apples and pears and things that grow in more temperate climates are planted up here. Down below, you'll have macadamia nuts, banana fields. In the south end of the island, it's all coffee around, down, and up through here. All coffee. And you get more fruit trees higher up. So, there's ways to use this stuff to do permaculture and plant food forests and stuff. I think a big thing that folks will be doing is, how do I reset this crap? It's really driving me up the wall. I don't know how to do that. Gah! What the heck? All right. Anyway, that's what you appeared over here. How did that? That's annoying. All right, there, closed. I think one of the cool things that's coming up in urban architecture is making food forests in parks, so that if you're going to be planting shade trees, you may as well make them fruit trees so people can pick pears and apples and plums. And oh my God, I hope there's plums everywhere as a result of this. But yeah, food forests are awesome. Okay. Luis Rojas, Houston, thank you for your time and lesson. What are your thoughts on Robinhood's wallet with Shiba? I think Shiba Inu is going to shave a zero if Robinhood finally gets their act together and produces a wallet and gets Shiba on there. I was originally invested in that. I was like, oh, yeah, if I can 5 or 10x this sucker, awesome. And then I got suckered away, went to Saitama Coin, and thinking that they were going to have their big event and launch their own wallet, and it was going to shave a zero or two. And it got really close, and then they just dropped the ball. So it might be a little while till Saitama Coin kicks up a notch again. I was up like 150% on my investment, and now I'm right back to where I was because they didn't launch anything. American Motors Corporation asks, what is the most plausible sci-fi novel or movie plot that we could see play out in the near future? Ooh. Was it Artemis? The guy that wrote The Martian did a pretty good sci-fi novel about mining on the moon. And the way he wrote it, he's definitely writing it for it to be easily converted into a movie script. It's an exciting movie, but the way he lays out the processes involved to get raw material out of the lunar surface is pretty awesome. They can get aluminum out of the rock. Getting aluminum out of the rock results in the creation of a whole bunch of oxygen, so they can actually build oxygen and they can build these biospheres and pump oxygen in because it's a byproduct of the aluminum they're producing. They can get the glass out of the lunar dust, and then you're, from that point forward, you're mining helium-3 and other materials that make huge amounts of cash. But just breaking down the rock itself produces enough oxygen that people have and can breathe that stuff. I think it was pretty good. I think it was called Artemis. That was maybe 2 or 3 years ago when I read it. That was called. Someone looked it up and verified for me. Short book, quick little read. It's an exciting little adventure book. That's one I could see playing out. I mean, that's not the adventure part of it, but the science and how they produce buildable materials and reminding the lunar surface, I think is very plausible. What's another one that I think could be pretty good? I mean, outside of the wonky portal into space, the basics of what the TV show The Expanse was built on, that series of books, which now the name is totally escaping me. If I had, I borrowed them from my friends, so I don't actually have them on my shelf. But those books, how they lay out the politics behind what it'd be like if we colonize the solar system. And we've got a bunch of people doing all this labor, and they're getting paid shit. Their bodies are getting torn apart by zero gravity or low gravity and galactic cosmic rays. You know, rich people on Earth are benefiting from it. That seems really plausible to me. That part of that sci-fi novel, that series, is very, very, very realistic to me, and actually kind of based my master's thesis in space studies on that, showing that the lack of laws or the loopholes in the current space laws are what's going to lead to a really, really terrible future in that regard. Drive with Valerian. Houston, have you had a chance to look at the MMTLP divvy price predictions at $30? Any thoughts? Thanks. I think it's very plausible if they sell those oil rights. They've got several 100,000 acres that proved last year that if oil prices are above $50-something, they'd make a profit. But back then, oil prices weren't above $50-something per barrel, and now they're way past that. So they're all profitable, and that makes them much more valuable than they were, as long as oil prices stay at those levels. So it's very possible if they manage to have a deal inked, that we could see some crazy returns on the MMTLP preferred shares from Torchlight. If they can't sell them to anybody, then it's going to become an oil company, and they're just going to be sucking oil out of the ground, and you'll be getting your regular dividends from that until oil prices drop. And then, you know, that's the way it goes. Justin Kappa TV Houston, any thoughts on the real rate of inflation? Prices of everything going up. I've seen prices go up 6 to 10% on things I usually buy. Could we become a Weimar Germany in the near future? I mean, anyone can become a Weimar Germany, but we are still a superpower. The Weimar Republic was not a superpower, so they could not control much of the financial markets. I think most of the inflation we're seeing is a result of supply chain breakdowns and lack of workers. So things are expensive to make, and they're hard to get. Whereas Weimar Republic, they owed so much money to those who won the war that they had to spend all this. They had to print cash like crazy to pay people for reparations, and they kind of blew up their economy because they had no industrial capacity. They printed too much money, and no one wanted it. So, because they were no longer a superpower. Whereas the United States can, you know, we can take cash in the U.S. and we can actually go and distribute it elsewhere in the world. The United States is an exporter of cash. That's what we are. We export cash to other places in the world, and we get stuff as a result. Okay, that's the U.S. dollar is our primary export at this point. That's what, you know, trade deficit is. That's what trade deficit means, that we export cash to get stuff from other people. So as long as people want our cash, then we're going to be okay. If they no longer want our cash, then we're screwed. We are absolutely screwed, and we're done for, and we're going to head that Weimar Republic way. And that may happen. They may vote to change the petrodollar from U.S. currency to, you know, euros or something. If that happens, then that's a big signal that the United States is done for, and probably go find someplace else to live because we are going to be in some hard times. Yeah. Hoshi Gaming, Houston. Do you have any horror job stories? How did you get into teaching? I'm a comp sci major, but I found teaching so much more fulfilling, even if I take a pay cut. Oh man, I've not really had too much bad experience with jobs. So I was a network administrator for a while when I was young. So you guys know my past. I went to school to San Diego, UC San Diego, to become an engineer, and I got hit by a car and left for dead. And my injuries resulted in I had to take time off from school, which meant I lost my baseball scholarship, and I bounced around. And so I got a Microsoft certification, and as a systems engineer, I was 18, 19 years old, and started doing that during the dot-com bubble. So I was working for Rivals.com doing that, which was the easiest job I ever had because they didn't have enough space for all their employees. So there's nothing for me to do. And then everyone else who worked there were all computer scientists, so they never had problems with the computer. They could figure it out. My job was basically to plug in new computers when someone else got to work, and eventually they had no more room for people, but they kept hiring them, and so there was no more spots for me to plug in new computers. Then they went under, and I did for a while, worked as a consultant for, what are they called? They're called K-Force now, but they were Keller, crap. What was the name of that company? It's 2001, right? 2001. What was the name of that company? K-Force is what they're called now. But anyway, it was a temp agency that would farm us out. And so, I went to Ephrata, Washington once and helped put together a server farm for Microsoft. And then I went to build the new computer systems for Oh Boy Alberto Beef Jerky's headquarters when they built that. I did little jobs like that. Went down to California and put together the computer systems at a new Walmart that was going in. So I'd do these jobs, get paid way too much money at 19 years old. And then I would go to Whistler and go skiing for a month and spend all my money. And then be like, oh, I'm cash poor now. And I'd call them up, hey, got no job for me? And they'd send me to, I don't know, San Diego. And I would do a job there. Then the dot-com bubble went pop. And all of a sudden, there were guys with PhDs in electrical engineering willing to do my job for like $10 an hour. So there was no way someone was going to hire a 19-year-old to do that. So I, by then, my body was back, my brain was back. I started playing baseball again, and I got signed to go to Europe and went and played baseball there for a while in Kufstein, Austria. And then I got injured, had to come home, look for a job, and I worked. The first job I had back was kind of a horror story. I got hired to do the websites for this nonprofit called WashPerg, the Washington Public Interest Research Group. And they're an environmental group. I was like, sure, I'll do your work. I'll work on computers and help your website, no problem. And they're like, hey, everyone has to do 1 day of canvassing, so they have an idea of what it's like. For most of the people who work here trying to raise money for this nonprofit. I was like, whatever. So they gave me a T-shirt that said WashPerg, and another girl who had never gone door to door asking for money before. And they put us in a van. They dropped us off in this like super poor neighborhood in Seattle where everyone's on fixed incomes and retired. And they're like, go raise us some money. We'll pick you up in 12 hours. It was like 100 degrees outside. We had no water, no cash, nothing. We're going door to door, knocking on doors like, hey, do you want to donate money to help the environment? And they're like, no, slam. And so we did that for like 12 hours and raised $0. Not a penny came in. Everyone's poor. They're all old people that are retired and living off Social Security. They're not going to donate any money to some group. So the van finally picks us up and we get dropped off back at the headquarters. And the guy's like, where's my money? Like, dude, we didn't raise any money. Brought us to a poor neighborhood. No one has any money. And sorry, I'm not a canvasser. I'm not expert at this. And he's like, you son of a bitch. Tomorrow, you better give me my goddamn money or you're toast. I was like, yeah, I don't do this. I'm going to go work in the office. I'm the IT guy. And he's like, nah, Until you give me some money, you're not working that goddamn office. I was like, yeah, took my t-shirt off. I'm like, I'm out. So Washburn can suck it. And then I looked them up, and like their CEO makes like $1 million a year, and 10% of their money actually goes to what they say it's going to do. So I don't support Washburn anymore. That's probably my job horror story. And then, went back to school, got my degrees, started teaching. That's kind of how it went. I went from wanting to be an engineer to wanting to be a physicist to becoming an astrophysicist. And while I was doing astrophysics, I really got into geology and geography and just kept going to school. So that's my journey. And now I tripped and fell into doing YouTube, and I'm almost at the point where I can make YouTube a career. I'm getting there. If I can double the number of subscribers, I might be able to actually do this as a career. Space Monkey. So I'm writing a short film on your view on why time travel is not possible. Can you go over it again, please? Yeah, you can use my idea. Just got to, give me some co-authorship there. Also, would you be willing to help me correct the science jargon on the script? Of course. So here's the thing about time travel is that the Earth is going around the sun. The sun is going around the galaxy. The galaxies are moving around relative to each other. So if you're going to have time travel, you have to somehow account for where in the space-time continuum Earth is going to be, right? So if I want to go back in time 100 years, blink, I go back in time 100 years ago. Well, I am 100 years ago where the Earth is now. So I have to sit there and wait for 100 years for Earth to arrive, and then I'm right back where I started, just 100 years older. So in order to have successful time travel, you also have to have successful teleportation and successful mathematics and integrals to figure out where the Earth is during these periods of time. Which means if you're off by a little bit, you can go back in time, and all of a sudden, if you're off by, 1/10,000,000th in your final calculation, that could put you inside the Earth or several thousand feet up in the atmosphere, crashing to your death. Those are the big problems with time travel. So my concept of a movie was you have kind of like the right stuff kind of thing, where you got like these badasses in the military, and they're all trained to become the first time traveler, and they're working at it, and they're doing push-ups, and they're doing tests, and they're testing their mettle, and they're getting in fights with each other and whatever, and competing for this job. And then finally one of them is selected as like the man who's going to like be the first time traveler. He's going to have, everyone's going to love him. And so he kisses his wife goodbye, gets into time machine, they're dialing everything, and then boop, and machines spin up, and all of a sudden, blink, he's gone. Everyone's high-fiving each other and loving it. And then the next scene, blink, he just appears in like the vacuum of space, going choking and blood boiling and freezing, and just becomes this frozen icicle in space. And then 100 years later, the Earth comes along to about the moment he blinked out of existence and went back in time, and then Earth smacks into him, and he burns up in the atmosphere. And it just cuts to his wife going to like their child, like, look, honey, look at that beautiful shooting star. And there's this kid's dad burning up in the atmosphere. That was my idea for a show. It'd be kind of the M. Night Shyamalan. What a twist at the end. Could probably make it into a Twilight Zone or Black Mirror. That'd probably be a good episode. But yeah, that's my opinion on time travel, is that you have to somehow have teleportation involved, and you cannot mess up the math in any way. Okay. Super Hot Kitty, are you getting any weeklies for November 26th? Yeah, I'll probably be buying some on Friday, maybe on Monday. See where it goes. But yeah, I'm gonna ride that train with the Gherkin and see what happens. See what little bits of cash I've got available to do that with. Joe Exotic, Houston, why'd you turn into an AMC hater in every live I see you in? In the interview with Jackson Hunter, you seemed like you liked AMC. I did back then. I did like AMC. I still, I've got my armor on AMC a bit, But the board at AMC is terrible, and they should all lose their jobs. Every single person who's on the board at AMC, every person who's a C-level executive should not be there. They need to clean house and put people in who are actually going to do stuff with the company that helps the retail investor. They're not doing anything that helps the retail investor at all. They're doing a bunch of bullshit. They're selling their stocks. They're not holding. They're not paying off debt when they do sell stock. The board at AMC has been garbage, and we need to recognize that and point it out and say, hey, 85% of this company is owned by retail investors. We should be allowed to clean house with you folks. I've not been shy about that since at least June. I've been talking about how the board at AMC and Adam Aron can't be trusted. They can't. They're really bad at their jobs, and they do not have us in mind. They've got their buddies at the country club in mind, and that's all they think about and care about. They do not care about you. They do not care about me. They do not care about any other retail investors. They got theirs. Fuck you. That's the mentality of the board of AMC. And, you know, more power to them. They're rich. They got theirs. They don't care about us. But their job is to care about us. And that's the biggest problem with AMC, is that while GameStop is moving into new markets, inventing new technology, paying off debt, becoming solvent, increasing sales year over year, and doing lots of work specifically to make the fundamentals of the company stronger, and specifically to help the retail investors, makes them just that much better of a play than AMC will ever be. And I'm sick of people making excuses for the board of AMC and Adam Aron for screwing us over constantly. They're constantly doing it. We could have let the run happen back at the beginning of June when AMC hit $77. That thing could have kept going. And we could have been at three figures and plateaued somewhere in that zone. But the board at AMC dumped 11 million shares all at once in the dark pool, specifically to short hedge funds, and killed the entire rally. Just dead. Done. They did that, and it screwed you over. And they're like, well, we didn't know it was going to screw everybody over. Yeah, you did. Your buddies you play golf with, like, hey, buddy, you're going to issue 11 million more shares? How about you give them directly to us? And then we will be able to pay off a whole bunch of debt we have. And then, you know, they sold those 11 million shares at undisclosed prices, and they didn't pay off any debt. They have $5 billion in debt they got to take care of, and they could have paid it off by now. But they didn't. They gave themselves bonuses, and that's the beef I have with AMC, is that the board sucks, and the board needs to be fired, and they need to put apes in there. The apes need to be in charge of AMC because we own AMC. We own 80% of that company, 85% of that company, and we should be in charge, and we should decide who gets to run everything. So, yeah, that's my beef with AMC, and that's why I'm souring on them. Every week that goes by, AMC does something stupid, and I sour on them a little bit more. They could be leveraging their stock price right now for all sorts of amazing things, and they're just enriching themselves. And that's, yeah. So, I love you, AMC guys, but you have to wake up to the reality that this stuff is, that they're not helping you. They're not helping you at all, and it's very frustrating. They're not helping me. They're not helping anybody. Jersey says, please enlarge the text below this man informing about the new super chat. You can also move it slightly to the right down so that the text does not go beyond the screen. How do I? I'm going to replay this sucker and see where it's popping up. I don't know how to make that text bigger. I'll have to figure that out. All right. So I'm looking at one American Motors did earlier. I don't know how to make that text bigger. I'm sorry. That's stuff I got to learn. Okay. Did I miss anybody? Space Monkey. Can't wait to end the film with a dude appearing 200 miles off Earth's surface, instantly being frozen. Boom. See, there you go. That's how it rolls, man. Space travel. Okay, I'm gonna scroll back up. Get in the chat here. I'm like an hour behind in the chat. I'm sorry. I'm so far. BGW Brand, Houston, when did you first use a computer and what game consoles do you have growing up? Well, the first time I got to use a computer that I remember was I was about 3. So this has been like 1984. I had neighbors that had a computer and they had a pen and you could draw on the screen. It was a dot matrix screen, like a green, one of those green screens, and I don't remember what brand it was, but I remember sitting on my neighbor's lap and he'd let me like draw pictures on whatever the equivalent of paint was on that computer. I don't know if it was an Apple or an IBM, but I remember like being like, this is cool. And those neighbors were rad. They also let me ride they had this like giant fat black lab, and they thought it was hilarious to put me on the lab's back and the lab would just take off across the yard. And they had a motorcycle too. I got to ride the back of their motorcycle at 3 years old. They were cool. They were cool neighbors. But yeah, it's probably my family didn't own a computer until I was probably 13. So that was 1994. It was a Packard Bell, 486 SX, 33 megahertz with 4 megabytes of RAM, and a 250 megabyte hard drive. That was our first computer we owned, but before that we got in 86, we got a Nintendo, and then I didn't get a Super Nintendo until, I don't know, probably after the Nintendo 64 came out, I bought a Super Nintendo at a garage sale, and then when the GameCube came out, I finally bought a Super Nintendo, and so I was always like 5 years behind on the gaming systems, but then the games were much cheaper that way. Go to garage sales and pick them up for pennies. So and then I built my first computer freshman year of high school. I worked over a summer and got all the parts, the motherboard and video card and all that stuff, and built my first computer with an ATX case. And I tried overclocking it and putting a bunch of fans, and I still melted everything. Yeah, the bus speed was supposed to be like 66 megahertz and overclocked it to like 200 megahertz, and the computer lasted like a week and it just fried. Things you learn. You have to learn things the hard way sometimes. Cameron Mirza. Did you see the terrible text stating that if they offer a token dividend, let Adam Aaron offer a 25 million share? Pretty pathetic. Yeah. I don't agree with that. And plus, I don't think they can offer the token dividend. I think they offer a dividend of any kind. If they're going to offer a token dividend, what they should do, and they want to raise money, they should just give everybody a $25 gift card. Let's go to the calculator. Scene. Turn off Chrome. Turn off Google Earth. There's our calculator. Okay, so you have 513 million shares, right? And you want to offer a $25 gift card. So it'll be $12 billion in expenses, which aren't really expenses because most of the people who own AMC would not be able to use this. Like, there's no AMC near me. I wouldn't be able to use a $25 gift card. You've got 40% of the people who are invested in AMC live outside the country. There's no AMCs in Germany or Japan, so they wouldn't be able to use a $25 gift card. And if you've got $4 billion naked shorts, right? You got 4 billion naked shorts that all of a sudden have to pay $100 billion to AMC to buy those gift cards that would be the payment in lieu of for all the synthetic shares they created. They would be sitting on more cash than anyone ever thought possible. Right? That would bankrupt every single solitary hedge fund out there. This would be the way you offer a non-cash dividend to absolutely obliterate the shorts. Not doing a tokenized one at all. You give every shareholder a $25 gift card for every share they have to AMC and you raise $100 billion in cash from all those folks that have to go out and buy a bunch more gift cards to, pay for all this crap, for those PILs. That's how you'd absolutely screw them over, because most of those gift cards, they wouldn't be able to do anything with, right? Or you do a gift card for every shareholder. Doesn't matter how many shares you have, you do a gift card for every shareholder. And there's 4 million known shareholders that have registered, that have legit shares. So there's probably a lot more than that that don't. And these are the ways that you screw these guys over. But they can't do that. They can't issue these gift cards. They can't do that at all because they are $5 billion in debt, and they're not allowed to issue a dividend of any kind. So even if you call it a tokenized dividend, it's still a dividend, and they're still going to get sued to oblivion, and they won't have the cash on hand to fight that court battle. Yeah. So I think Cahodes, and the other folks that are pushing for this thing, they're not going to be able to do it. They just aren't going to be able to do it until they clear $5 billion in debt. And that's the rest of the reality of it. So their best bet is GME goes bonkers and brings everything else that was on those ETF baskets with them, and all the other shorts that these folks were trading on margin, going short on with margin, rock and roll. Oh, I forgot to say. All right, so I've got about half an hour left. I'm going to, let's see here. Has he messaged me back? Oh, he's probably not back from school yet. Wildcard Central, the high school kid I did an interview with last month, we're going to be doing another one at in an hour at 5 p.m. So when I get the link for that, I'll be tweeting that out. So 7 p.m. Central, 8 on the East Coast. We'll talk for like an hour there. But I got about half an hour here, and I got to eat some food before I do another interview with somebody, just to warn you guys, warn you folks. Monkey Butt, how are you doing, buddy? Did you go outside? You feel like someone let you outside. You've got a wet head. Okay. Mike Millspaw, Houston. What do you think about the development of wave energy conversion, WEC technology that converts ocean and sea waves into clean electricity, such as that by Swedish company Wave? Thanks. Yeah, there's been quite a few that have used wave action and tides as well to do that stuff. I think it's really awesome. You let the wind, it's another way of like basically converting wind into energy. You've got places like the Bay of Fundy. Let's go to Nova Scotia here. I know I got a couple of Nova Scotia people in who watch. So go out here to Nova Scotia, and this is the Bay of Fundy here. And the Bay of Fundy has like a 40-foot tide swing that comes ripping through here. Back and forth, just absolute, I don't even know the number of the volume of water, the cubic feet that comes back and forth through here during tide swings. But 40 feet, it's bonkers. And so you can set up in these tail ends of the Bay of Fundy, like Minas Basin, what's this one called? I can't remember. But you can put turbines across this thing, and every 6 hours, you've got water just powering through here. And you can use that and generate just incredible amounts of energy for, 6-8 hours a day, every single day, year in, year out. You've got wave technology. I think the first time someone put wave technology in was in Scotland off the, oh man, I've got to get myself north again. It was off the northwest coast of Scotland. And they put these weird things that would like float on the water and then pump this piston up and down as they floated. And it was generating crazy amounts of energy, but that was probably 15, 20 years ago. I'm sure the technology like wave, that company you're talking about, is much better. But I totally think passive systems for using nature to power things is a brilliant idea. I think having, there's a company that made these tiles that when weight's pressed down on them, just does this like little capacitor action and creates energy. So they're like, hey, we put tiles in school buildings. Every time kids walk across the floor. They move by so much, and all those kids are just powering the school as they run along. I think things like that are really cool. But I'm all for it. They do cool stuff, make energy in all sorts of different ways. Yeah, man. Have you ever thought about changing your name to Herald of the Rocks? No, I have not thought about that. BTW brand, doppelgangers have been tested genetically lots of times in YouTube videos. No overlap in their genetics. Really? I'll have to look that up. I've always wondered if someone had ever done that testing. I wonder if you took someone who looked completely different in a doppelganger and tested them, and then you had doppelgangers tested and see what percentage difference there would be if it's the same as the rest of the population or not. That's something that, interesting. Scrolling, looking for them questions. Centrifugal farce. Houston, what do you think about the recent advances in fusion tech? Do you think it's best realistic clean energy option for cities? Why not geothermal? Well, geothermal is a great way to do power. Geothermal's pretty expensive, and depending on where you're doing it, has a limited time. So if you are in a very geologically active area like Iceland, Cascade Volcano Range, Hawaii, you can do geothermal that can last in perpetuity as long as the lava flow doesn't cover everything. But if you're doing geothermal in places like Nevada, you might have a 20-year lifespan before you've sucked all the heat out of that rock, and then that system's done. But geothermal is another great passive way of generating electricity. It's also a great way to do hot water. Where I live, they built a pretty fancy art museum, and what they did was they drilled really, 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 really deep down to where hot water was, and so the entire building is heated with that hot water, and then the water comes out of the faucet is with that hot water. And Iceland does the same thing. Iceland takes geothermal heated water, and so that's what we use, and it's very sulfur rich. So when you take a shower in Iceland, you're taking a shower basically in hot spring water, and just smells like farts. So everybody just subtly has a sulfur smell about them in Iceland. So that's a great system. But fusion power is going to require mass quantities of helium-3, and we're not going to be able to do anything about that until we have lots of helium-3 coming from the moon. And until mining is set up on the moon and we're bringing just tons of ore back, our fusion tech isn't going to do us any good until then. So, but once we get that helium-3, it's going to be a game changer, and we won't even need to have other sources of power. We can just use helium-3 for everything and power entire continents with like fistfuls of the stuff. So that's the future. Dead broke investments. If you don't get the absolute best price for GME during the squeeze and just got an average price, how many shares do you think you would need to be finished working? Well, it depends on your cost of living. Like, I am an inexpensive person to live. I can live off of $50,000 a year and be pretty comfortable. I don't have kids to take care of. I don't have a wife. I don't have that stuff. I just have a dog whose dog food costs like $40 every 2 months. And I'm a cheap date. So if, let's say 5% annuity interest, whatever you've invested, $1 million investment pays for me to live. So I don't need much. If you got a family and stuff, you might need to double that or triple it. So maybe $3 million. Live comfortably at $150,000 a year. If you want to have a life of luxury, maybe you're looking at $4 or $5 million to have several $100,000 a year and live quite comfortably and drive a nice car and do lots of traveling. For me, that 4 to 5 million range puts me in a lot of luxury, and so I can live off of those, off of the annuities and dividends and interest on that amount of wealth and be pretty comfortable. Anything beyond that, all of a sudden I could become a megalomaniac basically. So that's the way I see it. And if you can make, let's say you can make $4 million, right? At the peak, you could probably sell one share easily towards the peak and be done and have that kind of life. If you miss the peak and you're selling for tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars, then, 40 shares at $100,000 each gets you that $4 million to live a fairly luxurious life off of the interest and annuities of your investments. Yeah, around that range. Think about where you're going to be. With Vanguard funds at $4 million, I think you're making like $300,000 a year off of the annuities from the Vanguard funds. So that's not too shabby. Not too shabby at all. I would love to be making $300,000 a year right now, rather than the 50 or whatever I make currently. So that's life. I could totally just check out on that kind of money. Flight Guy 99, Houston, what do you foresee being the most economical, sustainable energy in the next 50 years? Helium-3. Yeah. BTW brand puts that right under there. Helium-3. Helium-3 is the way to go. Lost Waves, Metallica or Megadeth? Megadeth all the way. Metallica in the last 20 years has gotten so weenie. They're like Aerosmith now. They just are a bunch of weenies. They make really weenie music. I went to a LAN party once, and at the LAN party, like, we're going to put on every Metallica album in sequence. And the first couple albums, everyone was like, yeah. And after the next couple albums, everyone's like, meh. And then the most recent albums, people were like, I'm going home. This got really lame in here all of a sudden. But I'll take Megadeth over Metallica all day, every day. Even Megadeth does better versions of Metallica songs when they do covers of Metallica. I think they do a better version. Jonathan K., speaking of China, do you think we will go to war with them in our lifetime? Because Taiwan, not China. And what do you think changes will result in our life? I think there'll be lots of posturing over places like Taiwan with China. But if we were to go to war with China, it'll probably be over the moon. That'd be my thought. Is resources on the moon are so valuable and so important to dominating the planet Earth for the next 10,000 years that if there's any wars fought, it's going to be over the moon and those resources. And that could probably happen in the next 30 years. Space wars, man. That's going to be the future. Oh, hey, we've got some coordinates. Ty Bolak has given me some coordinates. Looks like we're heading close to the tropics. Somewhere, maybe Mexico, maybe? Where are we going? Scene. Let's get to Google Earth. Where are you taking me, Ty? Boom. And we are on Kauai? Is that where we ended up? I totally was not looking at a particular spot. We are... Yes, we are in Kauai. Okay. So where are we here? What's this place? It's Big Poly. That's the Big Waimea Canyon. The Grand Canyon of the Pacific. This looks like perhaps the overlook of the Grand Canyon of the Pacific. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, yes. There it is. There's the Grand Canyon of the Pacific. This spot's really cool. Waimea Canyon. It's a pretty big canyon. You can follow it out. Heads all the way out and dumps out into Waimea itself off the south coast of the island. It's a big canyon here. How these big valleys form are pretty cool. So we can head over, see the mini valley is starting to form over on the big island. So north of Hilo, you go up to the north coast and the little town of Honoka'a, and you've got these big valleys here. Waipio Valley, Pololu Valley, Waimanu? No. I forget what this valley is called. But these valleys form the same way that Waimea Canyon does, in that you have these volcanoes. This is the Kohala volcano, ancient Kohala volcano, also known as the Kohala Mountains now because of erosion. And you have cracks in the rock where lava will come up. And that lava may not make it to the surface, but wherever the cracks are, they will freeze solid, and you won't have any nucleation of the gases inside. And so the rock is really solid, not porous at all, and water can get trapped. So it rains and rains and rains for like hundreds of thousands of years, and water will get trapped behind these volcanic dikes. And if you have some erosion, coastal erosion happening for some of these things, you can get to a point where the dike is almost exposed, and when that dike breaks, you have hundreds of thousands of years of water all of a sudden flow out and just carve out these valleys. So that's how Waimea Canyon on Kauai formed, was the same way. Is that you had some volcanic dike back up here that broke and just washed everything out. There's pretty cool videos on the experiments they've done where they built essentially volcanic dikes inside of a lab with a bunch of sand, and they break the dike and it floods everything out. So it probably was, the initial formation was probably pretty cataclysmic for how these big valleys formed. And you have a big one also all the way across the world in the Canary Islands on La Palma. Get myself north facing here. We go to La Palma, and we've got a similar one right here in the caldera of Roque de los Muchachos. So they had a volcanic dike that was formed by probably one of the triple points of this volcano. Millions of years of rainfall happening, and it broke and whoomp, flooded everything out, just carved out a big chunk of that caldera. So these things happen all over. They're pretty cool. If you go to Kauai, go to Waimea Canyon. It's really impressive to look at. It looks like the Grand Canyon of the Pacific. It's awesome. Okay. I think I missed a super chat while I was talking about that. Did I? Yes, I did. Deck P. Generally don't know why Bill Gates is buying up all U.S. farmland. If not just say, don't know. I don't know. He's heavily invested in, what's the fake burger? Wonder Burger or whatever it's called. The fake meat that's pretty similar to real meats. He's invested in one of those things. Fake burger. What's monkey butt? What are those fake burgers called? Our roommate buys them all the time. And she doesn't know. She's looking at me. She's like, I don't remember. He's heavily invested into one of those groups, and I think he's buying up all that farmland specifically to be able to vertically integrate that company. Because if you have to like buy food from people, there goes profit. So my guess is that Bill Gates is buying up a whole bunch so he can make these fake burgers like crazy for everybody. Coffee, donuts, and home. Oh, it's Super Stonk link. Okay. Clean me up, Scotty says all Adam Aaron needs to do is keep the lights on. That's probably, yeah. You got to do it. You got to keep the lights on and pay off debt. Got to clear that debt. That's a big deal. And they might be able to clear debt by merging with someone, and that stock gets converted. And if that stock gets converted, then you got a new QSIP, and then that can do all sorts of crazy stuff to the stock price as well. Let's see here. Airplane mode. This isn't the way to double your subscribers. Bashing other plays is just dumb. They thought you were smarter than that. Well, beyond wanting subscribers or doing the show, I'm not going to lie to people. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, everything's fine. Adam Aaron's the greatest dude in the entire world. Let's just put his big old schlong in my mouth and just go for it. No, he does not care about you. And he's not doing things the right way when it comes to this squeeze play. And I got to admit that. I'm hoping people come to me and watch this show because I'm going to be unfiltered and I'm going to tell it like how I see it. And, I've got people that completely disagree with me on politics. I'll just have to still show up because they know I'm not going to bullshit them. And those are the folks I want to build a base around. I don't want to be somebody who just tells you what you want to hear all the time and, get a bunch of pats on my back as a result, because I'm just going to feel like shit if I do that. And that's not being true to who I want to be as a human being. I want to tell you how I read things and how I see something playing out and be accurate about it, and not just, placate folks and massage their ego and make them feel better about something. You want to have, if you're going to invest in stuff, you want to be able to see the big picture and be honest about everything that's involved. Why? Because there's always some play that can happen that can really screw you over on investments. Costs. Costs is a great squeeze play, but the people who own costs don't give a rip about you. What cost is going for it is that there's 2 million shares in the float. That's it. The children who inherited that company do not give a flying flip-flop about any of you or about the company itself. At most, they've got a ghost board that runs everything. They make sure that some factory in China gets a contract to put the name Koss on a bunch of generic headphones, and then they sell those at Ross or at Target or whatever for cheap. And that's their business model. They don't give a flip about anything else. So, I can be honest about that. But Koss is still a squeeze play due to the fact there's so few shares that exist. That's it. That they're a terrible company and they should have been shorted to oblivion. But if you're going to short them, you got to do it the legit way and not via naked shares. AMC is run by a bunch of goons, but they're still a squeeze play because they got shorted the wrong way with a bunch of naked shares. That's it. That's why GME, out of all these folks, GME is the king, because GME has a board that is doing the right things and improving the fundamentals of the company. The folks at Koss could improve the fundamentals of their company big time. They don't care. They don't care at all. Those kids have their hundreds of millions of dollars, and they're just, whatever, do your thing. Let a shell company run this. I don't care. And that's the reality of it. A lot of these companies that got shorted for a reason, because retail's dying, because they weren't investing in research and development, they weren't trying to expand into markets, and they weren't taking on .com 2.0 and diversifying what they had to offer. It's like network television. Network television for a decade had to make their shows cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, right? So they moved heavily into reality TV. And the reality TV was a bunch of idiots who break things and yell at each other. And they appeal to just a lizard brain demographic. And that demographic is old people who can't figure out how to use the Roku on their TV to stream something on Netflix. So, for a decade, television was just in this garbage wasteland that appealed to the lowest common denominator. And those network television companies were just losing money hand over fist as a result. And the up-and-comers and the streaming services were providing really, really high-quality content and were appealing to a much younger demographic that wanted to get away from that reality television garbage. And now that all the folks who love the reality TV garbage, the fixed income old people who can't figure out how to use a Roku, those folks are dying. And the television companies go, oh no, maybe we should create our own streaming services. So you're getting Paramount and Peacock and whatever else. And they're finally jumping into making high quality content for streaming services that they weren't doing for the last decade. They're changing their business model as a result of the market forces. And a lot of these companies that were shorted still have not changed their business model in response to market forces. And that's why they were a legit short play for a lot of these companies. It's just the companies got greedy and weren't borrowing shares and shorting them legally. They were creating naked shares and shorting them illegally, diluting the stock and doing the classic short attack play that they've been doing for the last 30 years. And the difference now is we've countered that play with buy and hold. And that's it. That's the difference. Before we'd panic, sell our stock, and they would short it to nothingness and the company would cease to exist. Now we go, that stock's really cheap. I'm going to buy 1 million shares of it. I'm not holding this and the company's screwed. That's the difference. And yeah, I'm not bashing the AMC holders. You guys will have a short squeeze. I'm bashing the board at AMC because they suck and they don't get it. They don't understand that we saved their company by buying and holding their stock, or we at least gave them the potential to save their company by buying and holding their stock. And they are not reciprocating by helping us and paying off debts and selling shares the way GME was doing slowly over periods of time. And that's the big thing. I'm sorry, airplane mode, but that's you got to speak the truth. No Revolution, Honest Houston to 100,000 subs and more. Yeah, let's get there. Thank you, No Revolution. I just missed another chat from somebody while I was blahing. It's a Dan. We got a Dan here. Dan Rod, Chalice of VWAP. Greetings from the pickle jar. I just chugged a quart of Guinness in 6 seconds. What's your favorite beer? I am a square. I'm a total square. I don't drink alcohol at all. People that drink alcohol in my family are usually dead by my age, so I don't. But I worked in bars for years, and yeah, that's how that goes. But my favorite smelling beer of all time, because I worked in a bar, I'd smell them all. My favorite smelling beer of all time was Boundary Bay Reef Netter beer. That beer had such a delicious smell. I'm sure that if I did drink beer, that would be the one that I would drink. It was a tropical fruit smell, and it just smelled delicious. So, but my guess is I would probably be on the darker beer side. Reef Netter was a darker beer. Yeah, probably on that side of the aisle would be where I'd be. Sin Chan, thank you so much for the super chat there. I greatly appreciate it. And you guys got me for another few minutes, and I gotta get ready, and I'm gonna be going on to Wildcard Central's show. Has he messaged me back yet? He messaged me back. He's getting everything set up. So I'm look for my Twitter, and I'll tweet out the link for his YouTube show. So yeah, so we'll be on there in a little more than half an hour, chit-chatting with him. I like it. If you guys have YouTube channels and you want me to come on, I'll come on. I've I usually have some time in the evening, a couple nights a week, where I can do that stuff, and I like chatting with people. It's my favorite thing in the entire world. Boss is from Belgium, so yeah, Belgian beers. My best friend is a beer brewer, and he just likes what's the name of the yeast? Salacy? No, I can't remember the name of Belgian yeast. To make all the Belgian beers, he just drinks Belgian beer all the time and then brews it. He was working for Odin Brewery here in Seattle, and they made a lot of delicious barrel-aged Belgian-style beers that people loved. Okay. Eric, Houston, do you think these cycle theories are FUD from hedge funds to somehow make retail investors think there's a pattern and possible dates? No, I don't think it's FUD at all. You can see there's a cycle. You can see it. It's right there. Bing, 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 bing. It spikes, it spikes, it spikes, it spikes, it spikes. You can see the cycles very easily. Ty Bullock says Boundary Bay Reef Netter is amazing. The brewery is close to where I live. We always go there for kegs of Reef Netter at parties. Yeah, it's just a delicious smelling beer. The last time I went through there was a few years ago, coming back from a trip to Whistler, and everyone enjoyed the beer, but my God, the food at that restaurant was the most garbage food I ever had in my entire life. I hope they got a new chef since then. They ruined mac and cheese. I don't know how you ruin mac and cheese, but it was god awful, and the Caesar salad was terrible. So I hope that since 2015 or whenever was the last time I went through there, that they have gotten a new chef, because that was a terrible meal. And I don't say that very often when I eat somewhere. I'm like, this was not worth it. But everyone enjoyed the beer at least. Okay. Oh, and then Jersey's got a coordinate system for me. We're heading north. Looks like Northern Europe, perhaps? Go in Northern Europe. Get one in here before I got to jettison. Go. Well, we're in a town. We are in, looks like a pergola? Train station? Is that train station being built? Pirotska? I don't, you're going to have to help me with the pronunciation of Polish because Piotrowska Synthrium. Looks like a train station or something. What are you? Oh, is that a painting? I can't tell if you're above the ground or below the ground. Come on, get in there. Take me in there. Boom. What the heck? It's a tunnel? It's a car tunnel, definitely, happening here. But I wanted to get to street level on the other side. Exit street view. Can I get to this road? Can I get on this road and go in and I won't be on a tunnel? Some crazy designs in there. There we go. All right. Oh, the glass is colored. Ah, there we go. That's what we want to see. That's a pretty train station. You won't see a subway like that in New York, that's for sure. Just dripping water and rat feces. People do it right elsewhere in the world, that's for sure. All right. One more question and then I've got to get ready to do this show with this kiddo. Neil21981 says, Houston, I don't think Adam Aaron was put in charge of AMC to save the company. He's from Apollo. They're like a Bain Capital, private equity. Yeah, they're vulture capitalists. And that's one of the things that the patterns we saw for years. And I talked about this a long time ago, like episode 4 or 3 or somewhere around there, that these vulture capital groups, they do leverage buyouts. They say, hey, I want to buy this company. It's worth like $4 billion. You give me a loan for $4 billion, I'm going to buy them. So they take out a loan against the equity of the company they're going to buy. Kind of like you take out a loan on the house you're going to buy, right? You don't own the house, but you can take out a loan when you buy the house, whatever. So you do leverage buyout. And then you take the good credit of that company and you just take out billions of dollars in loans. You don't spend any money on renovations of your storefronts. You don't spend money on R&D. You don't spend money on anything. And you just take out more and more loans. Say, oh, take off a $3 billion loan because we got to keep operating. We got to do these things. And then you just give yourself $3 billion in bonuses. And then you go, peace. And you just default on everything, walk away. And that C Corp or limited liability corporation, whatever it is, just gets sent adrift into bankruptcy. And in the meantime, you got the short hedge funds that are shorting the hell out of it. And they're figuring out ways to get their little minions on the board. And that's how they've been doing it for decades. And then you have Amazon or someone come in and buy up their proprietary tech or their network or whatever and their clients, and you're done. Pish posh, wash your hands. So that's what they've been doing for years. So a lot of the folks that were on the boards of these companies that have been shorted to shit are insiders at these hedge funds or private equity groups, and that's their job. Their job is to torpedo this company from the inside to make sure contracts fail, that products don't get out, the R&D doesn't happen, that workforce gets let go, that stores close, they sell off storefronts and property that's owned, and they give themselves all that cash, and then there's no assets left to borrow against, and they just default on everything and walk away. Happens again and again and again and again and again. Yeah. All right. That's it, folks. I'll be on with Wildcard Central. Give him a search. I can't remember what his link is. He's going to be sending me a link here, and I'll tweet it out when I get it. But it'll be about half an hour. I'll be on with him. So, yeah, I will see you guys again half an hour after I inhale a whole bunch of foods. And we will do that. Ready? 1, 2, 3, go.